this is Mrs. Patterson's Homework Help. This is Chapter 8, Lesson 8. And we're going to be doing problem solving today and using logical reasoning. Logic means that basically you're using your noggin to figure out the problem. And sometimes that requires a little bit more thinking than usual, and sometimes where you have to do some calculations on the paper and kind of map things out. And I love logic puzzles. I do it just for fun. It's kind of scary. So this is right up my alley, things that I like to do. If it is, then you also might be a logic reasoning person. Okay, so we have a problem. I'm going to go over and focus on the homework helper section and show you the thought process that they're thinking. Okay, so Haley made raisin bread. Okay, she used flour, raisins, and water. I'm going to write that big. Flour, raisins, and good old water. She used more ingredients than that, but those are three of the primary ingredients. The amounts of these ingredients were 1/3, 1/4, and 2/3 cup. We don't know which one goes for those. So our measurements are 1/3, 1/4, and 2/3. Okay? We need to figure out which one was flour, which one was raisins, and which one was water. Okay? She used more water than raisins. Okay? So how much of each ingredient did Haley use? Wow, we've got very little information to go off of here. Okay? So she used more flour than water, and she used more water than raisins. I missed a sentence there. So what we need to do is think about greatest to least in these items and greatest to least on those items here. So let's break this down. She used more flour than water. Okay, so flour is bigger than water. That's already listed correctly. So flour is bigger than water, if I want to say greatest to the least. She used more water than raisins. Ooh, okay. So I'm going to change this, and more water than she used raisins. So now I've got this set up. Flour's the greatest, water's the next greatest, raisins are the least amount. So now I just need to figure out where my fractions fit in. I have 1/3, 1/4, and 2/3. Okay? So I can use a chart here, fraction strips, to help me. And I'm going to go ahead and do that just for giggles. Let's see, here's 1/3. Okay, that's one of my fractions. Here's 1/4, there's another one of my fractions. And then 2/3 is another one of my fractions. So I have 2/3, 1/3, and 1/4. Using this, I can see right away that 2/3 is my greatest number, and that's going to be my flour. My next is 1/3, that's going to be my water. And the smallest amount I've done is 1/4. Okay? That way I could easily see I had my fraction strips to help me out. But you might not always have fraction strips. So you may need to figure these things out. And comparing these fractions is having them speak all the same language. I have 3, 3, and 4. I know I can make these all have the common denominator of 12 because I know 3 goes into 12 and 4 evenly goes into 12. So I'm going to convert these fractions to equivalent fractions. Okay, so to get 2/3 to speak to 12 language, I would multiply them by 4/4. So 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times 4 is 8. So 8/12. Those are equal. Okay. Then 1/3 to get to say 12, I have to multiply the top and the bottom by 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 4 is 4. So 4/12 is the same as 1/3. And finally, 1/4 to have 12 as the denominator, I multiply it by 3 over 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 3 is 3. 3/12. So here I can see that 2/3 is my greatest, 1/3 is my next greatest, and 1/4 is the smallest. Okay, either way, I've got the same answers here. And of course, so she used 2/3 cups of flour, 1/3 cup of water, and 1/4 cup of raisins. So all I've done is I've mapped out and I've problem solved using the information from the problem to figure out how much you used of each. And it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle that you have to solve. On the back, they've given you 3 other problems that I need you to try to figure out using logic reasoning. That means you're going to maybe even use more space than what they've got over here. You need to really use everything you have to try to figure out what the answer is to the problem. Here I have fractions 1/4, 5/8, and 1/8. Well, I'm going to look for making my common denominator an 8 because I know 4 can go into 8. Okay, so there's just a hint there for you. Okay, our bonus question today is explain why 1/4 is smaller than 2/4. And you can use equivalent fractions to do that, but explain to me why 1/4 is actually smaller than 2/4.